The galaxy had long forgotten Earth. For thousands of years, the great empires of the stars ruled and fought among themselves. Worlds burned, fleets vanished, and new powers rose from the ashes. Humanity was considered small, quiet, and unimportant. The few alien races who remembered humans thought they were still a young species, trapped in their solar system, barely able to reach the nearest star. So when the Varlock Dominion invited Earth to a galactic trade council, they did not expect much. They imagined a simple transport ship, maybe carrying a few nervous diplomats. The invitation was more like a test, a way to see if humans even understood the rules of the galaxy. The meeting was to take place in the neutral system of Zerath Prime, a star surrounded by golden dust clouds. The Dominion's main station, Raxor Hub, floated in orbit, guarded by dozens of sleek warships. Thousands of species came there to trade, form alliances, or intimidate each other with shows of power. For the Varlock commander Krathun, it was just another day of politics. He stood in the control chamber of the station, surrounded by advisors and officers of different races. The holographic map before him showed the system in glowing blue light. Human delegation expected in 6 minutes, his aide reported. Incoming ship detected at outer range. Small warp signature, possibly a shuttle. Krathun smiled, his sharp fangs glinting in the light. As expected. Let's see what these little creatures have brought us. Around him, several alien officers chuckled. They imagined a clumsy ship, slow and fragile, painted in outdated colors. The galaxy's gossip said that humans had no real fleet, only small patrol ships to protect their planets from asteroids and pirates. But a few moments later, the laughter stopped. The sensors began to flicker. A deep hum filled the room, like the growl of a storm building in the distance. Energy readings spiked so fast that the computers failed to process them. Every system alarm flashed red. Mass reading error, shouted one of the technicians. It's not a shuttle, it's a capital-class vessel. Reactor output beyond scale. Krathun leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Show me the visual. The main screen shifted to display a section of space where the new arrival was emerging. The light of hyperspace tore open, and something dark slid out like a blade cutting through the stars. It was enormous. The ship was black, so black that it seemed to swallow the starlight around it. Its hull was angular, smooth, and covered with armor plates that reflected nothing. Massive weapon turrets lined its sides, and strange glowing panels pulsed along its spine like the heartbeat of a living beast. For a moment, the control room fell silent. No one dared to speak. Identify, Krathun ordered, though his voice trembled slightly. The scanner struggled to lock on. Unable to identify class or origin, came the nervous reply. No known signature. It matches no galactic design. But then a transmission broke through. A calm human voice, female, clear and firm, echoed through every ship and station in the system. This is Captain Mara Ellison of the ESS Chimera. We come representing the United Earth Directorate. Transmission code 9 Theta authorized by the Terran Council. Her words were simple, but her tone carried weight. It wasn't the tone of someone seeking permission to enter. It was the tone of someone announcing her presence. Krathun's second-in-command hissed. That is no shuttle. No one disagreed. The Chimera moved closer, slow and steady. It was not trying to impress, it was simply existing, and that alone was terrifying. The ship's energy field was so dense that small asteroids around it began to drift, pulled by its gravity generators. Every Dominion ship in range adjusted position nervously, unsure whether to salute it or flee. On the bridge of the Chimera, Captain Mara stood with her crew in quiet focus. She was tall, calm, and carried the authority of someone who had seen war and survived it. Her eyes watched the alien station through the main viewport, a glowing ring filled with smaller ships, blinking lights, and thousands of curious eyes. Her communications officer turned. Dominion fleet is scanning us, ma'am, aggressively. Let them, Mara said softly. They won't understand what they're seeing. The Chimera was more than a warship. It was Earth's greatest secret, built in silence after decades of being ignored and underestimated. Humanity had learned its lesson after its first contact wars. The galaxy was not kind to the weak. Every peace treaty was signed with the memory of lost colonies and burned cities, so Earth stopped talking and started building. For 40 years, under the surface of the moon, the Chimera project worked in silence. They gathered alien technology, improved it, and re-engineered it beyond recognition. They created railguns capable of piercing planetary shields, armor that could regenerate under stress, and a quantum AI that could think faster than any known machine. The Chimera was the result. A ship not made for conquest, but for deterrence. A ship that said, "Never again will humanity kneel." Now as it entered the heart of the Dominion's territory, that silent promise echoed in every pulse of its engines. The Dominion station hailed them again. "Earth vessel, identify your purpose." The voice that came through was harsh, demanding. "You are entering controlled space. Lower your shields and state your intentions." Captain Mara gave a small smile. "Intentions?" she repeated quietly. "We came to talk." The communication cut. Her second officer frowned. "They're not convinced, Captain." "They don't have to be," Mara said. "They just need to listen." Back on Raxor Hub, Krathun was not amused. "This is insolence," he hissed. "They send a warship into our system as if they own it?" His advisor, a thin insectoid creature, replied cautiously. "Commander, our scans indicate that ship could destroy half the fleet before we even breach its shields." Krathun's tail lashed in anger. "Impossible. Nothing is that strong." But as he looked again at the readings, energy output, armor density, weapon calibration, his confidence began to fade. The Chimera's presence was rewriting the laws of what he believed possible. Then the Chimera released a burst of signal, coded data, simple and direct. It wasn't a threat. It was an invitation. Human delegation requests docking permission for diplomatic talks. No bluster. No begging. Just authority wrapped in calm words. Krathun hesitated. "Docking permission granted," he finally said, hiding his unease. "But they will not bring weapons aboard." Captain Mara received the message and nodded to her crew. "Prepare the shuttle," she said. "Let's go say hello." The shuttle that detached from the Chimera looked small against the massive hull, but sleek and advanced. It glided smoothly toward Raxor Hub, escorted by Dominion drones that kept their distance. Inside, Mara sat beside her security officer, Commander Hayes. He was watching the viewport silently. "They're scared," he said at last. "They should be," Mara replied. "But fear makes people careful. And that's what we need." When the shuttle entered the docking bay, thousands of alien eyes turned to watch. Delegates from dozens of worlds had gathered, expecting a group of nervous humans in simple suits. Instead, the hatch opened, and a team of officers stepped out in black uniforms with the silver emblem of Earth, the twin rings of the Terran Directorate. Captain Mara walked at the front, every movement precise. Her boots echoed against the metal floor, steady and confident. Around her, guards from different species shifted uncomfortably. They could feel her presence, calm but unyielding. Krathun waited at the center of the hall, surrounded by his honor guard. He was tall, scaled, and powerful-looking, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of uncertainty. "Welcome, humans," he said slowly. "You arrive unexpectedly." Mara inclined her head slightly. "Earth appreciates your invitation, Commander." Krathun's eyes narrowed. "Your ship is impressive. A strange choice for a diplomatic mission." Mara met his gaze without hesitation. "We learned that diplomacy works best when spoken from a position of strength." A murmur ran through the crowd. Some aliens looked offended, others intrigued. The Varlock commander's jaw tightened. He wanted to remind her that this was his station, his domain, but something in her calm expression stopped him. "Let's begin our talks," Mara said simply. "We have much to discuss." Hours passed in tense discussion. The humans sat at one side of the Great Council table. The Dominion and other races filled the other. Every sentence from the humans was measured, polite but firm. They spoke not as a species seeking approval, but as equals. When the meeting ended, the aliens were left in quiet shock. No demands, no submission, just clarity and purpose. Earth was no longer a small world at the edge of the galaxy. It was a power, silent and steady, that had arrived to take its place. As Captain Mara walked back to her shuttle, a young alien officer whispered to another, "They said humans would come in a shuttle." His friend nodded, eyes wide. "Yes, but they came in the Chimera." The humans had arrived. The diplomats were impressed. The alien fleets were curious. Yet Captain Mara Ellison knew that words alone would never convince the galaxy that Earth was no longer a minor power. They needed action. a demonstration that would ensure no one ever underestimated humanity again. Back on the Chimera, the crew prepared for the next phase. Deep inside the ship in the command chamber, Mara addressed her officers. "We have shown them our presence. Now we show them our capability. Everyone knows the history. We were once vulnerable. Now we are the strongest in the sector. Today we make them understand." Commander Hayes leaned forward. "Ma'am, are you sure? Showing full firepower could start a war." Mara shook her head, calm and firm. "We don't fire on anyone. We just demonstrate. Let them see what humanity can do if pushed." The crew understood. They had trained for this moment for decades, running simulations and drills that no one outside Earth had ever seen. Humanity had learned the hard way. Respect must be earned, not begged. In the orbit of Zirath Prime, Krathun and the Dominion Command watched nervously as the humans made preparations. The aliens did not know what to expect next. The humans were disciplined, but the Chimera's massive silhouette against the star made it clear that this was no ordinary ship. Its sheer size and presence radiated confidence and power. Then Mara transmitted a single line to the station. "Commander Krathun, you requested assurance of Earth's strength. We are about to demonstrate it. Observe carefully." On the bridge of Raxor Hub, Krathun hissed, "What are they doing? Are they threatening us?" The humans' actions were precise. The Chimera extended its massive kinetic railguns outward. The space around the ship seemed to vibrate as energy fields hummed with immense power. Mara's voice remained calm as she addressed her crew. "Power at 50%. Focus on precision. We are showing capability, not attacking." The Dominion fleet tensed. They had no idea what the humans intended, but the sudden energy surge caused panic among their officers. Sensors began picking up unusual gravitational disturbances, energy spikes, and massive force fields. Then, the demonstration began. A small asteroid, about half a kilometer across, drifted in the outer system, ignored by all but the Chimera. Mara gave the order, "Fire Railgun 1. Precision strike, no collateral damage." The weapon fired with a thunderous roar that echoed even through the void. The railgun's kinetic slugs tore through space at unimaginable speed, striking the asteroid. The rock shattered into tiny fragments, vaporized almost entirely on impact, leaving a small cloud of dust glowing faintly in the star's light. It was silent to those observing from a distance, but the magnitude of the energy released sent shivers through every Dominion. "Sensor impressive," an alien officer whispered. "Did you see that energy output?" Mara continued the demonstration, systematically showing other capabilities of the Chimera. Plasma cannon sweeps, which disintegrated abandoned satellites without damaging the planet below. Shield projection, which held firm against simulated missile strikes fired from Dominion drones. Advanced maneuvering as the massive ship dodged targeting grids with the agility of a fighter craft. Every move was precise. Every action was controlled. There was no unnecessary destruction, only proof of raw power. Krathun's confidence was slipping. They could destroy our fleet before we even get close," he muttered, pacing his bridge. His tail flicked in agitation, betraying his fear. "And they are restrained?" "Yes, restrained," his second-in-command hissed. "They do not attack. They only show strength." That was when Mara sent her final signal, a direct communication broadcast to every major power in the system. "Earth is no longer a minor planet. We will defend ourselves and our allies. We do not seek war, we seek respect. Misjudge us and the consequences will be undeniable." Silence followed the transmission. Hundreds of ships paused, unsure how to respond. Many species had never seen such confidence, such calm power, coming from a world they had once dismissed. After the demonstration, Captain Mara walked through the docking bay, accompanied by Commander Hayes and the diplomatic team. Alien delegates watched in awe and subtle fear. Some whispered, some recorded the event, and others simply stared. Krathun stepped forward, attempting to maintain composure. "Humans, you have shown strength." "But strength alone does not make allies." Mara inclined her head slightly. "Nor does weakness command respect. Remember, Commander, we do not threaten unless provoked, but we will defend without hesitation." Her words were simple, yet they carried the weight of the decades of human struggle, of wars lost and wars won, of a species that had once been underestimated again and again. Krathun studied her, realizing for the first time that this was not bluff or overconfidence. This was a species that had survived every test thrown at them and had emerged stronger. Days passed. News of the Chimera's arrival and demonstration spread across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. Traders, mercenaries, diplomats, and explorers all carried the tale. Earth was no longer a footnote in galactic history. It was a power to be reckoned with. Back aboard the Chimera, Captain Mara addressed her crew in the main command hall. The first stage is complete. We have made them aware that humans cannot be ignored, but this is only the beginning. Respect must be maintained through vigilance, wisdom, and readiness. Commander Hayes nodded. And the Dominion? They will be cautious, but I imagine some will still challenge us. They will, Mara said, but they will now think twice before underestimating Earth. The crew smiled quietly. They had trained for this moment, and now the galaxy was watching. Weeks later, diplomatic talks began in earnest. The Dominion, still recovering from the shock of the demonstration, approached Earth with caution and a new sense of respect. Other alien powers, previously dismissive, began to offer cautious alliances and trade agreements. Humanity, once considered a minor player, now had a seat at the table. And they did not intend to sit quietly. Captain Mara, watching the systems from the bridge, reflected on the journey. The Chimera was more than a ship, it was a symbol, a warning, and a promise. Humanity would no longer wait for others to recognize its value. They would forge it themselves. In the starlit void, the Chimera glided silently, powerful, unyielding, and ready. The galaxy would never mistake Earth again. As Mara turned to her crew, she said simply, "We came as humans. They expected a shuttle. We arrived as a fleet they will never forget."